Ethan and Jason.
Now this is podcasting.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you had a good week. I hope you had a good one. I hope you had the nicest, prettiest little week you've ever had because you're a good boy and you deserve it. My name is Ethan. With me today, as always, I have Jason.
Hello, I'm back.
Jason's back.
Back for another week.
Jason's ready, dude. He's fully dedicated. I'm fully dedicated. We're dedicated to you as a customer, as a listener, as a close, loving friend.
As a worker.
As a worker, little worker out there swinging your hammer. You're doing a good job. I know you're not playing too many video games or eating too many yummy Cheetos or, I don't know, otherwise wasting time. I know you're not doing that. I know you're at your job and you're
probably on your way to it, actually.
You're probably on your way to your job where you're going to click away like a good boy and type and be a good worker. I'm a businessman.
Clickety-click.
Yep, that's you.
So thanks for tuning in.
Yes, yeah. Guys, big day today. Let me tell you, big day. We're talking all kinds of stuff. We're talking tariffs. We're talking gambling addictions. All kinds of fun stuff, dude. All kinds of fun stuff. Riveting podcasting that will hold your attention and keep you entertained. Jason, bail me out of this, please. What's going on with you, dude? What do you got? What's happening with your life?
Oh, let's see. Well, I'm trying to pour a concrete pad on the top of my container house.
Nice.
Right? And so
Sick.
to be cheap about it, I've got all these pieces of corrugated metal that I cut out of the side of them to make, for windows, to put the window holes in.
Yep.
So I've had these laying around my property, just these big blue and white pieces of corrugated metal.
Interesting.
And so I was like, what on earth do I do with all these things?
Yeah.
And so I have to create a form around the outside, the top, right, to pour the concrete on. You have to create forms so the concrete won't just fall off the side when they pour it.
Right.
It was suggested to me that I get angle iron. You know what angle iron is?
No idea what angle iron is.
Can you picture an L?
Yep, I can picture an L.
You can picture metal in the form of an L.
I can
That's
do
really
that.
long.
I can
That's
do that.
angle iron.
Okay.
So it's a 90-degree angle.
Nice.
And so the concrete guy said, why don't you just get 6-inch angle iron and weld that all the way around the outside to create your form?
Yeah.
Because prior to this, I'd only done, usually you use wood forms like 2x6s.
Right.
Unfortunately, 2x6s are only 5.5 inches tall. So if I need a 6-inch pad, I can't actually use the 2x6s for them.
Of course.
And so,
of course.
Yes, and it was difficult to find the 6-inch angle iron. You can't just pick that up at Lowe's.
Of course.
You have to go to some... Yeah, anyway, I had some trouble finding it, and I realized I had a bunch of metal laying around, so I decided to cut long 6-inch lengths of it.
Nice.
So that's what I did yesterday, is cut like 140 feet of 6-inch wide pieces of metal.
Nice.
Which I'm then going to hammer flat and then tack weld all the way around the outside of my... with little supports to keep it upright.
Excellent. Riveting.
So that's what I did yesterday.
Nice.
Lots of cutting with an angle grinder.
Nice.
Exciting day. No, it felt really good to get it done because this has been eating at me just to get this done. Because I'm anticipating when the hot weather comes, it's just, the insulation I have in the ceiling is very inadequate. So I'm hoping for a cheaper cooling bill this summer.
Yeah.
And our tax return money, I want to put that quickly towards this pad before the money just evaporates.
As it does, dude.
Yeah.
Money does evaporate.
Oh, my goodness.
It's crazy, dude. As soon as it gets in.
So I'm one step closer, so I'm very excited about that. Had a good day yesterday.
Good.
And God kept off the rains.
Oh,
all this week, the forecast has been saying thunderstorms, rain for like the past 3 days, and it hasn't rained more than like 5 minutes at a time until this morning.
That's crazy. Really. We got
pretty much
dumped on over here.
Yesterday?
Oh, yeah, bro.
Okay. No, it hasn't hit us.
Yeah, dude. I told you my story about why I was a little jumpy, but I was jumpy yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I walked out of my office, and I just saw this storm. I mean, it looked like something out of like the opening scene of Vikings, where the monk comes out and he's like on the beach and he looks out and the storm's coming and he's like, the world is over. I walked out and the thought I had was, this storm looks biblical. And it was like,
oh no,
it was like so calm, you know,
where you were.
Yeah. And it was like the kind of calm where you're like, this is about to be
all the wind had stopped.
Storm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my wife was gone and we were going to meet later for dinner. Mm-hmm. And then I like saw a lightning strike and it just hit me, like the wave of thunder like hit me and made me like, I was like, oh geez. And I was like, I'm getting out of here, dude. I'm not sitting around for this storm.
I'm gonna get indoors.
No, I just got into my truck and left.
Oh, you left?
Yeah.
The house might not be here when I get back.
Yeah. I called my dad on the way and I was like, hey, you have my Bitcoin phrase, right? And he was like, yep. I was like, all right, sick. I'm
cool.
Not worried about it.
I might die.
Yeah. Yeah, we got hit yesterday. Heavy.
I need to set that up. I don't have my own Bitcoin key yet.
I stopped
at that point, so I've been buying Bitcoin, but I don't have
dude,
the wallet yet.
Not your keys, not your coin.
I had questions. Dude. I know. Key, not my coin. I know. It's coming. It's coming.
All right.
Maybe we'll talk about that later.
Speaking of what's coming, dude, tariffs. They're here. They're not coming.
They're not coming. Yeah,
they're
already here. They're in effect.
Today is the 5th.
What do you know? Other countries are not happy about it.
Yeah, not happy.
Nobody's happy about it.
Nope. Well,
I mean, in the news.
Yeah, the thing I'm working on I'm writing up a little tweet, and the thing I'm saying is that the tariffs are a really good litmus test for like people on the right, even like Trump supporters. Like, how much does your favorite like podcast or right wing political pundit actually know about how markets work? Mm-hmm. Because you see the tariffs are good. I'll say that the tariffs are a good thing, but you see people who are like obviously in disagreement with the tariffs. People who there was a guy that I thought was like a cool, like somewhat with
solid
it.
And understanding.
And then he posted a picture yesterday of Vivek and was like, if he was president, this wouldn't be happening. Like, we would have I was like, all right, dude, whatever. Unfollowed, blocked. See you never again. But the litmus test, I think, is more in like why people think the tariffs are good. Because everybody on our side obviously knows what we voted for. We know what we want. Like, there's no like, the left side is like, look at the stock market now. Do you guys feel good, maggots? Like, whatever.
It's like, did we not know there was going to be a big downturn?
Yeah, like we
it's
elected
a rough transition. So you build up so much tension in a system, in a bad system, and you expect to be able to change that seamlessly into a good economy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. So anyone who's worried about what's going on now, yeah, maybe it won't turn out well, maybe, but it's going to be bad in the interim no matter what.
Right, no matter what.
You have to wait till the dust settles. There was somebody, I don't know, some like ancient, I think it was like an ancient Chinese philosopher or something, who was asked, I don't know how much longer after, sorry, I can't talk today. How much further after the French Revolution? He was asked how the French Revolution affected whatever.
Yeah.
And this was like, decades, or it was quite some time afterwards. And he goes, it's too soon to tell.
Oh, yeah.
His point was that like something that monumental is going to have reverberations throughout history for a long time. Right. So for you to go, it's 1 month in.
Yeah.
And things aren't immediately better.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's ridiculous off the top.
So don't expect that. I think it's easy to start panicking a little bit and be like, oh, was this the right decision?
Yeah.
Say, we'll see. I hope so.
Yeah, we also, we elected him to destroy the system. That's what we elected him to do. Mm-hmm. So what is it, what did you think destruction was going to look like?
Yeah.
The stock market was going to go up.
He was elected because enough of us thought that things were so bad that you couldn't really fix what was already there.
Right.
Which is odd to have that sort of logic decried by the left, because the left was all in favor of defunding the entire police force.
Deconstruction, that's their whole thing. Deconstruction.
Yeah. This is not the kind of, but this is the deconstruction that takes away all of their goodie packages.
Right. Their goodie packages and their ability to molest children and stuff like that. Yeah, so the the point that I wanted to make was that there's a pretty significant portion of political pundits, people that you would consider serious people, Curtis Yarvin, Lomez, the dissident right in general. That's an internet term. I think Lomez has got a better view of the things than not. But there's a lot of, it doesn't matter. I'm getting too specific, but there's a lot of people out there that are that think that the tariffs are good because they're going to bring back, that their goal and what they're for is to bring back American manufacturing. Now, on Work Hard before, and definitely on Maximum Alert, I've explained why that is true. That is part of what's going to happen. But that is not the reason Trump is. That's not the primary reason that he's using these tariffs. The primary reason he is deploying these tariffs is to crash the stock market on purpose. He has to. During the COVID issue, there was $16 trillion of stimulus pumped into the system. You have to shave off all of that.
Which was equivalent to, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but something equivalent to like a third of the total cash.
No, it was half.
Was it half?
Half of all the cash that had ever been distributed into the system
was pumped in
during COVID.
Over like a months long period.
Yeah. And so everything is doubled in price, and that price is not accurate. So a company can't do real price discovery right now. You can't figure out how much your company's actually worth. You don't know how much anything's actually worth right now because it's all inflated. And as long as that inflation continues, there is going to be high interest rates. And high interest rates slow down the economy and make everything bad for people.
You can't buy houses.
Can't buy houses. I have a 7% interest rate on the home equity loan we just got to do this.
The remodel edition.
Remodel, yeah. And over the lifetime of that loan, the fees I'm going to pay are going to be more than the loan itself.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's just not viable. Now, here's the thing. America has 38, probably almost at this point, $40 trillion in debt. Much of the way that you issue, I'm trying not to get too specific here, but we had to issue a ton of debt in order to print all that money. We had to issue a ton of bonds. All of that stuff, all the old debt that came before that, it's going to have to get refinanced now, or we're going to have to pay it off. And we can't. The U.S. can't just pay off, $15 trillion in debt right now, unless it prints $15 trillion.
So, yeah.
So massive inflation, another wave of massive inflation.
Potentially that's the problem.
Right. Or you crash the stock market so that all these investors and traders are forced into government bonds in order to protect their profit margins and not lose money on their trades. When they are forced into government bonds, the government can issue lower and lower and lower interest rates on those bonds, which will then give the Fed permission to lower its interest rates, thus creating now I'm getting mixed up. This is why I need more nicotine.
Foreshadowing.
Yes, foreshadowing. My hands are going to be shaking by the end of this episode. It is going. He is trying to reduce interest rates without increasing inflation. That is the goal. That is what he's trying to do. It will probably work. It's working right now. It's going to keep going. Somebody asked me on Twitter, how long does he have to hold this up? And I said months. In order to win a game of chicken, you have to convince everyone that you're willing to crash the car.
Yeah.
So everyone, all the people who know, all the government advisors, the Chinese, everybody knows what Trump's trying to do. He needs to convince them that he's willing to destroy the global economy in order to save the American economy before he can drop the tariffs.
Yeah.
So he's going to enter into a trade war with the planet on purpose in order to crash every stock market on the in order to crash the economy and force a recession, force a recession so that the Fed can drop interest rates without creating inflation. That is what's happening.
It's a big play.
Big play. Big nuts on him. It's not
how many presidents in the last 50 years have had the guts to do that?
None. Not a one.
Not a Republican, not a Democrat.
Nope. And it is not the play I saw coming. Well, honestly, when Joe Biden was president, I just thought this whole thing was going to
tank.
Yeah, I thought they were just going to lose control and it was all going to tank. And it still might. You know, this is kicking the can down the road. Still. It's still just kicking the can down the road. Mm-hmm. But it's kicking the can as opposed to like the plan that they had, which was kick the can down the road 6 months.
Borrowing from the future constantly.
Yeah, to just kick the can down the road a little bit at a time. Trump is going to launch the can like 100 years down the road by doing this. If he like sticks to it and really does it, there's going to be a pretty massive market correction. There will be a recession.
So is that really kicking the can down the road or just setting it right?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm saying it because
I mean, theoretically, if we build it back correctly afterwards and it's maintained correctly, the machine should work indefinitely with proper maintenance.
That would mean putting us back on the gold standard, or the Bitcoin, putting us on a new standard, the Bitcoin standard,
Gotcha, okay.
and abolishing the Fed.
Getting off of fiat entirely.
Yeah, getting off fiat entirely.
So that's
is
what you're
solving
saying
the
about
problem.
So kicking the can 100 years down the road just allows us to operate on a fiat currency for a longer period of time without crashing.
Right.
I gotcha.
And so this kind of speaks to a lot of the discourse I've seen online has been.
It's a long game, guys.
Yeah, it's a long game, but the discourse I've seen online has been very like libertarian versus like managed economy kind of thing.
Okay.
And one of the things that I see often with like people on our side, like I'm very, I wouldn't say like, I'm aware of the times. We are going to have, so there's a way to, here's how you have to think about this. So the Austrian guys, Mises and Hayek and all those guys, they have fallen out of favor on the right because they're championed so often by libertarians. And Mises had a lot of stupid things to say, and you know, there were several Austrian economists that thought free trade was good. They were wrong, obviously. Free trade is not free trade between countries.
Free trade as in open entirely so that we have to compete with the labor market in Malaysia.
Right. That's not how it works because
it's so radically different.
Right. They're viewing the world as one market. The way you have to view the world is one market made up of a bunch of different sub-markets that are tied to ethnic groups and nations.
Right, because it's like, well, similar to governing. You can't make one rule over the vast majority of the United States. You can't make very particular laws. You can have murder is illegal in all 50 states, but you can't also say, I'm going to have a bad example here.
Your wheels have to be a certain size.
Yeah.
Your car. Yeah.
Right. It's not going to fly in a lot of different terrains or whatever.
Right.
Those have to be very local codes. So what you're saying is you got to have all these little tiny local economies that are then allowed to operate within their bubble.
Right.
And they're not just mowed over and destroyed completely because someone in India is allowed to work for a third of the cost.
Yeah.
Then there will be no jobs here.
Yeah.
Anything that can be imported will be imported because it's cheaper and it's easier to get in the next month rather than building our own manufacturing plants and all that.
Yeah.
Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah. And so the metaphor I think that's good to think about this here is as a garden. Okay. So let's say you have, my property here, we've got about almost 9 acres.
Yep.
Neighbor's got the same amount. Neighbor to my east has got the same amount. Neighbor to my west has got a little bit more. Markets are nature. Okay, this is a point I've hammered before.
No, I can see where you're going. This is good. Okay.
Markets are a force of nature. They are not. They are just part of reality. They are a garden. Markets are property. They are not property. They are a garden. Think of them as a garden. They are trees. They are
you can't grow bananas in Minnesota.
Right. Exactly. You can't grow bananas in Minnesota. But here's the thing: there are 2 ways to run a garden, and one of them is the way I run my my property here, which is very lightly managed, mostly let it do its own thing. And people garden like that. You know, people garden. I've seen a lot of, like on Instagram, where people are making these, instead of mowing all the time, they're planting fields or meadows.
Okay.
They're planting meadows, and then they just let the meadow go. But it's somewhat curated. So it looks really pretty. It is wild, and it looks wild.
But it's very low maintenance.
But it's very low maintenance, and there's very little management involved. Now, here's the thing. With a low management system, you can get like an invasive species. We have wisteria out here in East Texas. So I've had this low management, kind of let it go style, right? Now, we've got wisteria everywhere here. It's killed several of my trees.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It looks great. And that's the thing with like immigration, whatever. Like, it looks great at first. The flowers bloom and you go, wow, what a beautiful vine. And then 3 years later, your favorite pine tree is dead because the wisteria has grown up and choked it out.
Yeah.
When you allow that to happen, you get into extreme, you have to go into extreme management mode, right? So if you have an economy, a market that's open and has very little management from the government, it's growing wildly. It's slightly managed by people, but it's very beautiful. It's working great, which is what we had in America for 200 years. You have to be careful to stop the invasive species. You have to put your foot down and stop some things from happening, because it will kill the whole garden because of how you run the garden. You don't manage it very well. And so you get into this place where you so the other way to run a garden is highly curated, highly managed, right?
Right.
Every stone is put there by a person.
Right.
There's drip lines going everywhere. Every plant is specific.
It's like a Japanese garden.
Right, a Japanese garden, highly curated English.
The gravel is raked in a pleasing, an aesthetic pattern.
Right.
Or sand.
Now, it's extremely difficult and has not been accomplished before, except for in very short periods, to actually do that to an economy or to a market, because markets are incredibly complex. They have a lot of moving parts. Prices are the best way to manage markets by far, and letting prices go where they need to go is the best by themselves is the best way to address markets in general, until you get an invasive species, until there's a storm, until something occurs that requires...
external force comes in.
Right. It requires a massive amount of management to correct whatever damage has been done to that garden. So we find ourselves now in a time when the wisteria has been here for quite some time. We have millions of Indians in this country. We have millions of South Americans. We have one half of the political spectrum has decided that they don't care about the Constitution and that they just care about power. And all of that, what all of that means is it's management time. So you're going to have a professional gardener come in and garden.
And gut some stuff.
Pull things out, burn stuff down, start from scratch in some areas, and bring this thing back to a place where it's normal. And like with wisteria, it's not just you go in with a machete and cut it all down. You have to stay on top of it for years.
Because the root system
just keeps coming back and keeps coming back. You have to root it out. And that's how you have to view markets, is as the American market is one person's garden. The Canadian market is another person's garden, right? Mm-hmm. And so and these gardens, they have to compete with each other. I don't know if this is true. I heard this. Somebody told me this one time. I don't know if this is exactly true, but Monsanto has their farms, right?
Yeah.
And they have these specific genetically engineered plants that they have patented.
Yes.
And then they will intentionally let those plants grow onto like a small family's farm next to them.
They'll infect, even just the seed being carried by the wind or whatever.
Right,
Then, and if they'll go, this was on, I think, Food Inc.
Okay.
Is where you saw this or heard this.
Okay.
Food Inc., the documentary that came out probably 15 years ago now, I don't know. But Monsanto would go in and sue them because they would find genetically modified seed in the little farm next door.
Right.
and they would say, well, you're in violation. You're stealing our patent, basically. And then
Right.
they would sue them and take their land
Right.
for it.
Right.
No, that's a...
That really happened?
Yes.
Okay. So there's stuff like
unless
that.
this documentary's line, yes,
Right.
that happened.
So stuff.
That was a practice that Monsanto...
Great. Excellent.
Yeah.
Someone needs to
Evil.
be shot. For sure. Shot or hung. Shot is almost...
Well,
there's too much dignity in being shot.
By the government.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't
yeah,
pull a
yeah.
Luigi.
Yeah. Don't do that. So that will happen, right? And that's what we're experiencing now with China, with India. We have these hostile gardens that are through trickery and in many cases outright hostility, trying to take what's in our garden, trying to take the garden itself.
Well, they are. They're taking how much money every
Right.
year is being transferred into the Chinese economy?
Yeah, exactly.
Billions of dollars.
Yeah, so you have to. You can't have this like Mises, like free trade, everything, whatever, because you're going to have
Bad actors.
Or people are just, they're going to look out for their own interests even, where it's just.
I think the analogy is really helpful about, it's like, do you lock your doors at night?
Right.
Do you allow just anybody to walk into your house?
Yeah.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Because you're not insane.
Right.
Because eventually your house would be filled with homeless people.
Yes. Yeah.
And they would not respect your carpet.
No, they would not. They'll take a dump on it.
Which the Chinese is doing.
What the Chinese is doing. Yeah. So markets, the Austrian economic sort of their description of reality, which is capitalism, is correct. Their way of managing reality is not always correct. It's idealistic and in some cases utopian and isn't like based in reality all the time. But what we are seeing now is we're having to have a guy come in and hope you guys can hear that thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. It spiked the mic. You are seeing, that's what you're seeing. You are seeing the world have to enter into a stage of intense management. The hope is that the managers are going to be willing to turn the garden back over when it's time. That's not often the case. Usually they stay managers until they manage the garden into its own death by
doing something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By being
We'll go, hey, the garden looks great now. They're like, yeah,
yeah.
just a few more tweaks.
Yeah, just a few more tweaks. And they keep tweaking until everything's dead and nobody wants to go there anymore.
Yeah, so we're not advocating that Trump become head dictator.
Right, or for communism or whatever. But it is like you have to decide how much do you want. It's like the weather or something. Like markets are the weather. Like human beings we don't just exist in raw nature. We don't just exist in raw markets, right? We set up structures. And those structures in this metaphor, like we build houses, we build pergolas and put swings in the garden and we enhance it and make it livable and paths and all kinds of stuff. No matter how wild the garden is, you make it so it's enjoyable by humans and usable for humans. But if you just have this, there isn't a human being that just lives just under a tree and eats berries all day. That's never happened ever. Not even the hunter gatherers made lean-tos. Like there's always been some kind of structure. And so you have to build structures in a market. And right now we have entered into a time where we no longer have ethnic or cultural hegemony. We no longer have the things that offer structure naturally. Those things are gone. And so we are going to have to build artificial structures to keep things stable, to keep the garden healthy and alive. And we are going to have those structures in place for as long as we do not have natural hegemony in the system. And that's going to be things like tariffs. It's going to just exist that way until this is all over with. And I don't really see, unless something very climactic happens, like a war, a big one like World War III, or some sort of real uncontrolled economic collapse, I don't really see any way out. Like unless America splits into two and the old republic is like kept alive in one half of the country and the other half gets to be the liberal post-World War II world order, and just drown themselves in fiat money and immigration. And then the old republic gets to stand and continue marching forward. There's just no way that we're going to ever go back. And so looking forward, we are probably going to enter into the imperial stage of American history. We are probably going to, which is, you can say that that's bad or good or whatever, but there were just like when Rome was a republic, there were good times and bad times, and Rome was an empire with emperors and less powerful senates, and there were good times and bad times. There just are good times and bad times, and there's no way to avoid that. Yeah. So it's, I think
you can't keep it pure and wonderful all the time.
Yeah, you can't. So just buckle up, get ready for,
history goes in cycles.
Yeah. Get ready. We are in a fourth turning now. I think over the next 10 years, things are going to get a lot better. I would just say, get ready for voting to matter less and less and less. And you already were subject to the whims of the masses. Now you're going to be subject to the whims of like one or two people at any given time.
And this plays into what we keep hounding here, which is you need to find a community. If you can't find one, build one.
Yeah.
Find like-minded people and band together.
Yeah.
Get to know your tradesmen. Get to know
your
local farmers.
Jason came over this morning to help me with my AC went out. So, yeah, get to know your people.
Yeah, if you have a community to help support you during rough times, build your family up. This is not the time not to have kids. We said it an episode or two ago. No, last episode on Bountiful Planet. Go back and listen to Bountiful Planet if you haven't heard it. That was a really good discussion, I felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are in the instant age, in the expedient age, which kind of transitions us into the main topic of discussion. Well, we're halfway through, so that was the half main. But
yeah, you want to do cushions and then?
Oh yeah. Let's do some couch cushions.
We got to dig between the couch cushions and find some good media for these kind folks who have listened halfway through the episode without any Rex yet. Gotcha.
Yeah. You got me. We know this is the most important part of the show for you guys.
I know. That's why we're not putting it at the beginning. We want you to listen a little longer.
A little longer, yeah.
All right. So I'll start off today. I'm going to recommend a long forgotten, a not well enough respected,
yes,
but still a very beloved and rightfully so retelling of Treasure Island.
Yes.
I'm talking about, of course, Treasure Planet.
Treasure Planet, dude.
Which I believe was Disney.
Banger of a movie.
But it was fantastic. It was in the days when they were starting to add in some computer-generated images along with, like, blended with what I'm assuming is hand-drawn.
Yeah.
So I think they did a really nice job of blending the two. There's shots that were clearly computer-animated to make it look like machinery, and light was much more vivid. But there's still more of the hand-drawn quality to it as well. Anyway, Treasure Planet's kind of a futuristic, the take on Treasure Island, where there's this planet that's full of treasure. You've still got, Long John Silver character who's a cyborg. So instead of just having a peg leg, he also has like a mechanical eye and like this fantastic... He has
a robot arm?
Yes, he has a robotic arm, which I think they use the computer-generated images more, the CGI, for making it look more mechanical.
Yeah.
Really, really fun.
Yeah.
The artists who went to work on this movie were just fantastic. So there's like aliens, and there's human beings, and there's ships.
Robots.
Oh, the ships, though. The ships have solar-powered sails.
Right. That's how they travel.
They travel through space on solar wind or on solar power.
Yeah.
Yeah, so their sails like light up with the sun and fill because of the light of the sun.
Yeah.
Really cool, like space. It's like it's an illogical blending of space and sea voyaging.
Yeah.
But visually, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Instead of whirlpools, they encounter a black hole at one point that tries to pull them in.
Yep.
Just amazing.
Yeah. Awesome.
And
stuff.
the blending of like pirate muskets with laser guns.
Yep.
Really cool. So visually, a real treat.
Yes.
And the voice acting is perfectly cast.
So good, dude.
They're so good.
The robot.
The robot is fantastic. Long John Silver is one of the best animated characters out there.
Yeah.
And then the love story between the cat and the dog characters.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's like the dog professor who's like this stuffy, educated, guy who's all up for adventure and research, and he's kind of dorky. And is it John? Who's the boy? Is it John the cat?
Jim?
Jim. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, Jim, who's like kind of a rebellious teen,
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
So good.
Ooh, little tie off to that. N.D. Wilson also pulled heavily from Treasure Island in I'm going to forget it now. What is it called?
The one with the boy with the noodle arms?
It might be, but it's the
Where
first book. I've only read
move time around and stuff?
Outlaws of Time. I think that's the second or third book. The first one he doesn't have that.
Oh, he doesn't?
No, he doesn't.
Okay.
No, but in the first one, there is a Long John Silver character.
Oh, okay.
Who's like called something Sterling.
Yeah.
Sterling is his last name.
Yeah.
Anyway, he has all of the main characters. They even have the Archer Inn, which is like a take on the Benbow Inn. Benbow. And he has an archer lady who lights up like a statue. Yeah. It's like a decrepit old hotel. Like it's a roadside hotel. It's just be tall, get out. It's nasty.
Yeah.
Anyway, so a little aside to that. While you're telling yours, I'll look up the actual name of the book. I just read it, though, and it's the best one of the ones I've read. It's like the third novel I've read by him.
Yeah.
Anyway, Treasure Planet. Go check it out if you haven't. If you have, go check it out again. What is your recommendation this week, Ethan?
My recommendation is Black Cauldron, the movie.
All right.
Beautiful Western animation. Very good movie. The Horned King is so sick looking with the freaking deer horns and the skull.
Yeah.
So sick, dude. The story's awesome. Very dark. The movie's very dark. I remember watching it as a kid being like, this is terrifying.
Yeah, the clip you showed me. I haven't seen the movie. I've read the books.
Yeah.
This comes from a series of books and novels.
Yeah, so the Black Cauldron is very awesome. It's got a pretty good sort of side narrative of friendship and sacrifice, and I think it's one of those important hero stories because it's the one, like in all hero stories, the hero comes from nothing, Mm-hmm. And it's very important because the point of these stories, here it is. Hey, throw back to the old days, dude, when we used to do every episode in your house when it was raining.
Yes.
And it was so loud. The point of the sort of hero narrative is to make normal people, normal young men, feel empowered to do great things. And so it's just geez, give me some water. Told you, too much nicotine. The story is just it's just good. It's just a good classic hero's tale,
classic adventure
of a normal do nothing, not necessarily do nothing, but just a.
Well, what is his?
He's an assistant pig keeper.
Taryn, the assistant pig keeper.
The lowest of the low. Steps up, gets a sword, and does what has to be done to win the day, and it's very important for young people, young little kids, to see that. So. It's a good one. The art style is amazing. The animation is amazing. Another one where the voice act, it's all right. It's pretty good. It's not the best in the world. The pacing is great. The archetypes represented. There's a princess, and the main character slays the dragon and ends the thing and kisses the girl at the end, and they end up together, and she's pretty and blonde and
fantastic.
It's just straight up good old fashioned human triumph. And so it's just
a tale as old as time.
The tale is old as time. A tale is at least as old as The
it
New
really
Testament.
doesn't get old for very long.
Yeah.
You got to keep coming back to it. There's a reason.
Yeah, there's a reason. Yeah, that story you keep retelling that story over and over and over and over. It's the story I'm obsessed with telling. It's everything I've ever written is the young man.
Well, you know why?
Because it's good and...
No, because it's the story of the Bible.
Oh, right, yeah, because yes, that's literally the... Yes.
You've heard the Moscow crowd. There's some clip I've heard online where they have all these kids. What's the point of the Bible, kids? And they're like, kill the dragon, get the girl.
Yeah.
It's Christ killing Satan and getting the bride, which is
the church.
Which is the church.
Yeah.
That's why it resonates so deeply with us. It's because this is foundationally what the whole world's story is founded on.
Right. The whole narrative of human history is... Yeah.
I got the wrong... That was not... So the Snake Arms guy, that is a series called The Outlaws of Time.
Okay.
Separate and written previously is the Ashtown Burial series.
Never read it. Don't even know what it is.
Yeah, Ashtown, also by N.D. Wilson. So both of those are by N.D. Wilson. The Dragon's Tooth is the first one. That's the one I read.
Okay.
So that's the one with the that pulls heavily from Treasure Island.
Nice.
Anyway, there you go. There's your Rex for the week, everybody. Go out and enjoy some good media.
Yes. So, guys, back on topic. This is... So, we'll start this conversation off with an observation. Okay? This is a simple observation now. I'm not judging anyone. Okay? Do what you got to do out there, all right? But I have seen, okay, all my boys from college, everywhere on the internet, gambling is crazy right now.
Rampant.
Everyone is gambling, dude. Gambling, and it's the thing I see everywhere is sports gambling. It's getting absurd, dude. Everyone I know has the freaking Bet King, Get Your Bets King, Lord Bets, Top Bets, the Top Sports Bets, the app. You know the app. You've all heard the ads. They're relentless. Now, I've never even clicked on one of these ads. I've never gone to one of these websites. I've never downloaded an app. I've never looked at it. I've never gambled before.
But you're still getting hit up like crazy.
I still get hit on the timeline with ads for these games because I'm like perfect market, 30-year-old white guy. And it is...
They know.
They know, dude. They know that there's something... So this is... guys, listen. Here's what I'll say. This is a Sam Hyde take, which... You know, if you've watched this or if you've listened to this for any length of time, you know that this is my entire shtick is just Sam Hyde redone in it's like a Christian way.
With a Christian,
yeah, I just rip his stuff
Christian paint
right
job
off
on it.
Yeah. But Sam Hyde take from years ago is that people who do a lot of gambling are just like they just want destruction and like fire in their lives, like they just want chaos. And I think that previously that probably was like old school gambling addicts probably did have that that sort of
mentality.
Mentality, that underlying issue. But I think today it's much more tied to people having a subconscious realization that they're kind of screwed economically speaking. Mm-hmm. And so you have this like the crypto thing.
So the chaos and the fire is already here.
Yeah, the chaos and the fire is already here. And so there's like meme coins and sports betting and going to the casino. Dude, we went to the horse races in Arkansas a little while ago. And we were there. It was cool. The horse races were really fun to watch. The amount of gambling that was going on, obviously it's a place to gamble. But here's the thing that was shocking. There's a casino that was attached to the stadium. Mm-hmm. And we went to the casino side on accident, trying to get into the stadium.
All right.
And it was just like a random Tuesday or something. Like it was not weekend. It was not party time. It was not fun time.
Right.
It was just like dead center, middle day, in the middle of a non-holiday week, just standard day. The hordes of people walking into this casino at like 11 a.m.
To throw money away.
I mean, families, dude. Huge numbers of people. Some of them look normal. Most of them look dysgenic, fat, retard face, window-licking droolers. But,
there's a picture.
Yeah. It was bad, man. It made me, I looked at my father-in-law and I was like, dude, we got to get out of here, man. This is making me really sad. And he was like, yeah, me too. We got to get out of here. So we like bounced immediately. We were like thinking for a second, like, oh, maybe we can walk around, whatever, see what's going on. And then we saw what was going on, and we were like, all right, time to go. Yeah. And I mean, it was just a constant stream of people just walking in. And we were the only people walking out. And we just like...
You're like fighting crowds trying to get...
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Crazy just how many people are going in. And it's like, if you go on Instagram or TikTok right now, like the amount of reels that are like dudes at the... Like some like boomer 58-year-old dude being like, all right, just rolled, time to roll again, here we go, baby, $20,000 on the line, and he's just hitting the what are the machines called?
I don't know, slot machines.
Yeah, slot machines. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's not even like a talent to it. Like I had
it's just hitting a button.
Yeah, I had a buddy in college.
A lot of bright lights.
Yeah, little rat getting hit with the bright lights. I like the bright lights. And I had a buddy in college who, I mean, he's still my buddy. He's one of my very good friends. He could count cards in his head.
Yeah.
And he was really good at it and very good at playing blackjack. And so he was not gambling.
Right.
He was literally just showing up to make $20,000 on a Friday night. Whatever. I watched him buy a Porsche and cash.
I know of people who do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's very much a calculated decision, and they can walk out beating the house.
Right.
More often than not.
Yeah. He took me to Vegas once with him, and there were nights where he was being calculated and paying for the trip. And then there were nights where he was just like, give me a massage. Where's that girl? Bring me the liquor. Like just having fun, you know?
Yeah.
There are those guys out there that know what they're doing, right? And there are guys like you can watch. I watched a YouTube documentary of a couple guys who are quants on quantitative traders.
Okay.
So they have autism. They're human computers.
Yeah.
And they're mentats from Dune. And they got bored doing it on the stock market, and so they started doing it with sports betting.
Yeah.
And they have these huge systems and all these spreadsheets and whatever. And those guys make a ton of money.
Sure.
And they, it's all odds and they know how to play the system or whatever. And those guys are, whatever. Do you?
That's a different,
that's
a
different
that's
how they make their living.
We're not
if
talking
they don't
about
do
those
that,
guys.
they're going to kill themselves. They have to have extremely complex math problems in order to not explode. So that's what those guys got to do. Now, that's not you.
We podcast and they do sports betting.
Yeah. That's not you. That's not me. That's not Jason. That's less than 1% of the population. Here's why I wanted to talk about this. We've got a bit of an audience now. I would suspect that there's at least 20 of you, at least 100 of you, who struggle with this. And in my life, the thing I have found out is that it is much easier to address a problem when you understand it. I used to overindulge in drinking, overindulge in playing video games. And I understood that I was doing those things. Once I understood why I was doing those things, it was much easier to maintain a healthy relationship with them. And I'm not saying you have to stop betting on fights or whatever, but you do need to stop doing it compulsively and destroying your life with it. And you know that if you know that it in your heart, if I'm talking to you or not, you you know very well, full well, whether or not your life is being destroyed by gambling. And everyone's life is being destroyed by gambling right now. Every guy. And I'm just saying that as a blanket statement because one of the reasons why I speak in generalities is because they're so effective to make people stop and think. I know there's nuance. I know there's lots of guys we know who don't gamble. Like, whatever. I get it. That's not true. It's not a true statement. But it is. Okay? Everyone's life is being ruined by gambling. Okay? Everyone you know gambles too much and loses freaking $10,000 a year to gambling. All right? Now listen, the reason why you're doing that is because the economy is in the toilet, because everything is chaos, and so you subconsciously feel like the only chance you have at financial freedom is it's not boomer style, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, do a good job, firm handshake, get a watch, and retire. That's not possible for you. And so you think subconsciously that the answer is spend $20,000 a year on sports betting, on some, look how fast that black guy is. He did it. He got it in the hoop. He got the ball in the hoop. Look at that black guy. His muscles. He's slam dunking. He dunked on him. Oh, look, he put his nuts in his face. He dunked on him. That's you. And with your stupid little cell phone, sports gambling. Fool. You're doing that. Listen, my heart goes out to you, okay? I know I'm riffing on you hard there, but you're doing that because you're panicked and you're scared, and you feel like, dude, if you make $300,000 a year right now, that can get you out of this situation of having to toil the rest of your life at a job you hate. But everyone's job means nothing. Everyone's job is fake, and no one gets paid any money for it. And so your only hope is to gamble out of it. And it's not even just like sports betting. It's like the crypto thing and like retail speculative investing is off at the charts. More retail buyers, people with like Robinhood on their phone, bought stocks in the last 2 weeks than have ever done in history.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And you can look that up. It's April 5th at the time of this recording, so you can fact check me on that. Go ahead, little dork. Google it. You'll find the answer. That is gambling too. Okay, that is also gambling. That is not investing. Trying to be a day trader is retarded. All right, there was a blip in the history of economics where day trading was possible. Okay, there was 20 years where that was possible. It's not possible anymore. All right, there was about 5 seconds in human history where computers were sufficiently advanced enough to execute instantaneous trades, but not advanced enough to do the trades themselves. That's not true, okay? Look up HFTs, high-frequency traders. That's what a day trader is now. It's a computer, all right? The only thing you could possibly do and make profit is swing trading. But again, quants, that's not you, all right? That is an incredibly autistic, very high IQ Jewish guy. That's who gets to do that. Not you, normal welder, white guy working at the oil field, all right? You don't get to do that. Swing trading is just that's not in the cards for you. The smart thing to do with your money is to invest, obviously, in look up the book Intelligent Investor, read chapters chapter 8 and chapter 20. That's it, okay? Just read those 2 chapters, never read anything else on investing again, you're fine, okay? That's what you have. That's the only way you get to engage in markets, in like equity markets. In that way, is through investment. Fundamentally understanding why this company is a good company and why the guy leading it is a good leader. You buy that stock and you hold it till either the leader leaves or you hold it for 10 years. Okay, you hold it for 7 years. You don't do this swing trade, buy it, sell it 3 months later. Whatever, you're going to lose money. All right. Speculative investing is the same as sports gambling. That's what I'm trying to say here, and that's gone off the charts too. so many people I talk to that know I'm into the Bitcoin crypto world are like, what should I buy? What's the thing that I like? What is it that I should buy? And I go, Bitcoin. And they're like, yeah, but that's, it doesn't move very fast. And I'm like, what's the purpose of doing this? Like, I want to make $1 million this year. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to tell you anything then, because that's not how it works. So just on a statistical probability, you're going to get cleaned out. Like, you're going to put 20 grand into butt fart coin and it's going to go to zero right in your face. It's not going to happen, dude.
I haven't heard of that one.
Fart coin is a real one.
Really?
Yeah, there's Pog, fat white girl. That was one for a little while. Pog coin. There's a website called pump.fun, and you can just go and just make a meme coin instantly, and it will it's whatever. So it's all speculative gambling. And this is, I think, the overall message that Jason and I discussed talking here was addiction in the expedient age, when everything is expedient, when you have Indians running everything and no one has the ability to think in a 10-year span. They can only think how to extract, not how do I create long-lasting, fundamentally sound, value-added companies over the years. It's how do I get into the current system and steal as much money as I can up front, drive up the stock price as quickly as I can by making budget cuts and sending stuff out, getting all my equity, liquidating it, and then leaving in 2 years. That's every CEO right now, because they're all named Punjab Pantar. Okay, that's every CEO in the tech world, at least, and that's how those guys think. So all of the people on the top, Vivek, Elon Musk to some extent, Sam Altman, all the guys you hear about in the news, the big CEOs, whatever, basically everybody but Jeff Bezos is out there stealing. That's what they're doing. They are very, very intelligent con artists who are stealing. The reason Sam Altman goes out, he did a media tour for a year, a couple years ago, being like, AI is so dangerous. Oh man, this is crazy. We got to regulate this. He doesn't believe any of that. He's saying it to make it sound powerful. That's why he's saying this is scary. It's a weapon. Woo, because he wants you to go, AI is incredibly powerful. And all these VC investors and all these people to go, oh wow, AI is incredible. We better invest in this because a big weapon costs a lot of money in the future.
Like dump a lot of money into it,
Yeah.
and then he gets to cash out.
Yeah, then he gets to cash out. Yeah, gets to cash out with his sodomite boyfriend and go off and buy some kid in some tropical village.
Live on an island.
Yeah, live on an island, worshiping the devil or whatever it is Sam Altman does in his time, in his stupid Jew free time.
There it is.
That one was specifically to get Jason to react.
Just got a slow blink out of it.
Slow blink eye roll, which is what I live for. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So just the system right now is a fraudulent system of different people of varying degrees of intelligence stealing. All right, that is what the system is right now, and it's been more sophisticated and more intelligent in the past. But this started 100 years ago, when it was dudes in suits who were capable of thinking in 100-year time spans and thinking about their grandchildren and what they're going to do. When those guys were stealing, they set up the Fed. All right, extremely. When Edward Dulles and whatever his last name House, I don't remember, Colonel House or whatever. He's one of the guys who was very instrumental in the setup of the Fed and started the First World War. And Edward Dulles was one of the guys that helped set up the first iteration of what the intelligence agencies are today. All that is, you can just, there's a book.
A deep dive for you. Yeah,
deep dive. One Nation Under Blackmail covers a lot of that, and the Creature Jekyll Island and Tragedy and Hope, which are, if you read those three books, those are the only books that you would need. Now they're all tomes; they're very thick, but if you read them or listen to them, whatever, they will perfectly describe to you the environment that we live in today. It is set up by very intelligent people who are working together in a cabal conspiracy-like fashion to siphon the immense amount of wealth generated by the American working class. That is what it's designed to do, to siphon all of the wealth, the tremendous amount of like productivity that is created by Protestant workers being diligent and showing up to work every day, siphon that wealth off and put it in their pockets. All right. That now you have got a wave in the last 20, 30 years. You've gotten a wave of foreigners and less intelligent people come in, identify that that's what's happening, and try to get what's theirs, get their cut of it. And so they've created this expedient, very gay, everything sucks, nothing works, it's all for stock price. You've got those guys, those leeches coming in and making things much more obvious. And that's good. I think that that's good because now everybody knows that it's happening. Because the people that are doing it are way less intelligent than the people who started doing it. But that's the environment that you're in. And so everything is expedient.
Or just more immediately greedy and selfish.
Right. Yeah. They're just less thoughtful. They're more animalistic. They're just less, they're more greedy, more selfish. And they're creating an expedient environment.
No long-term plan.
No long-term plan.
They just want their island now.
Right. Yeah. And
and who cares about their kids?
Not necessarily to dump on this guy. I just met my sister's new boyfriend, now her new fiance. And I don't remember what we were talking about, but we were saying something about the future. Oh, my sister asked us if you had the power to see a day in the future, every day you could see a day in the future, but it was like a year ahead or 30 minutes ahead, but you could only see a sliver of time in the future. What would you pick? And he said, I would want to pick like 100 years in the future because no matter what I saw, I wouldn't be around.
Oof.
Tough. And he's sitting on his phone whole time we were in Colorado on his phone, sports gambling.
Was he really?
Yep.
Oh.
And
he's right in the thick of it.
Yeah, right in the thick of it. Yeah. And so
he's who this episode's for.
Yeah. Shout out. Never gonna hear it, but
you could just send it straight to him.
Probably not. Probably could. Yeah. I did say the N word a bunch around him. And,
you did, huh?
Yeah, I did.
How'd that
go? He just didn't react.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he didn't react to really anything at all, ever. There was one time where me and my brother got him away from everybody, and we were hanging out at the bar, and within 3 beers in, my brother was like, so Jews aren't Semitic, right? Like, immediately. And I was sitting on, me and my brother were on one side, and he was on the other, and so my brother was like, yeah, these Jews. And so I turned to him and went, how comfortable are you with racism? And he was like, and I didn't wait for the answer. I went, Evan and I are about to get real racist. And he was like, okay.
What am I marrying into?
Yeah. He said in silence while my brother looked at him and very angrily explained the Talmud to him. And it was like, my brother was like, have you ever heard the term goy? Like, it was very funny. So that's the environment that you're in. And that's why you have this desire to gamble, because you feel subconsciously like your only chance at getting any kind of retirement or getting any kind of wealth accrued to yourself at all is through gambling. That's why you feel this way. That's why you're doing it. Now, I struggled with that issue, but my answer was to check out through video games and alcohol for years.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds cliche and kind of gay at this point because of how often this gets said on the internet, but when I found Bitcoin, I found hope, because I knew that whatever meager amount of money I could make, I could put into an inflation-proof asset that was inevitable, that was a revenue, a wealth protector. And that like, I started performing better at my job. Everything changed. I got real serious as a man.
Yeah.
Because there was a point to being serious.
So go check out, if you haven't listened to our episode titled Bitcoin for Dummies, that's for you. If you don't know anything about Bitcoin or don't know why Ethan is saying it's, why it gave him hope, then about his future and about being able to preserve wealth, whatever he does make, then go back and check out that episode.
Yeah. So, and that kind of bleeds into the kind of addiction in general. All right. And maybe addiction is too strong of a word, but just this habitual compulsive use of substances and gambling to check out. Okay. Weed. Jason and I have talked about this before too. Casual drug use through the roof right now. People getting high all the time, every day. I was just in Houston a few weeks ago with this kid for work, and we were having these conversations, and we just couldn't. There was no reason why he and I wouldn't click. Old school sports guy, like kind of bro-y frat guy from college, young, same age.
Should have had plenty to talk about.
Should have had plenty to talk about. Should have gotten right along. Could not hit a good rhythm in our conversation. And at some point, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go hit the pin. I'm gonna hit my vape real quick." And I was like, "Oh, that's why we're having. You're high.
You're not here.
You're not here. You're checked out. You're loop-de-doop. You're on another. You're not. You're. It's that. So there's a. I think I've talked about this before, but in the Book of the New Sun, I think it's in the second or third book. The main character Severian comes across a tribe of people who have, through some process, decided that being human, the weight of their own humanity, their own emotions, their own suffering is too much. And so they've opted to become animals. And so they just turned into these like monkey people. And he describes it as like something that's common. Like they're everywhere. This group of people, I've just encountered one group of them, but they're all over the planet. They're most... Like a tremendous amount of the population opts to do this. It's like half of humanity is just not even human anymore. And that is what you were doing. You were lobotomizing yourself chemically with drugs and alcohol and gambling. You were checking out. And that is because we are in a time where it doesn't feel like through normal standard human behavior, you can create for yourself a life that is not full of misery and toil. And that is to a certain extent true, but here the solution isn't to check out. The solution is to work harder. The solution is to pick up a shift on the weekend. The solution is to get your own thing going. The other solution is to just steal. Find some way to steal. We're not going to advocate for that here, but
no. Build. It's time to build.
Yeah, it's time. Build. Yeah. And here's the thing. Here's the rub. Here's why that actually matters. The other shoe is going to drop, and it's starting to. You see it everywhere. The amount of vitriol towards tech guys and towards bankers and towards people that other people are perceive as not adding any value to the world. In 10 years, it's going to change. In 10 years, we are going to have an American golden age where every company is real and fundamentally sound and adds value. And there are going to be very few ways to cheat the system. And all of the people who are stealing now are either going to be lynched or find themselves far outside of the operating procedures of the New World Order. And when that happens, they are going to, all that expediency, all that short-term living is going to bite them in the ass, and they are going to run out of money and look foolish, or at the very least, not be able to show their face in public ever again. If you are focused right now on building something sincere, whether it's just yourself as an employee and as a talented person, screw employee, but as if you're just focused on building your own skill set in a skill that's going to be required in 10 years, you are going to have a massive payoff. If you're focused on doing what Jason and I are doing, which is building a company, building something that's going to be a value add in the future as an organization, you're going to be in a great position. because that's what's going to be sought after. As the free trade system collapses, as America becomes more isolationist, as it becomes harder and more dangerous to ship goods across oceans that are unprotected by the American Navy, as these things get harder and harder, and as the ability to make cheap shit plastic goods, sorry, that one actually was on accident, which is rare for me, but cheap plastic goods, cheap Chinese, we'll call them Chinese goods, as the ability to make those and disseminate them across the planet is compromised, and as it becomes more and more viable and more necessary to make goods at home, wherever home is for you, those goods will become more robust, more repairable, more. There's a video of a guy with a refrigerator that's made in like the 70s.
Yeah.
And he opens it up, and all of the shelves are on a metal hinge, and they swing out of the refrigerator.
Okay.
So that like you can just like pull the whole shelf, just swing it out of the refrigerator, and get like milk, whatever's in the back, like stuff in the back that you usually forget. It's just, you don't have to reach past whatever. It's just all right there. Super intuitive, awesome thing. And people are like, oh yeah, but I bet it's the metal's low quality, it's crap, whatever. And he's like, his response to that is he posts a video of like a 30-pound chain and like 100 pounds of like metal dumbbells and like some sort of like axle or something is like on the shelf, and he pulls it out and it just comes out perfectly.
Nice.
Doesn't bend, goes right back.
Nice.
And that refrigerator costs an arm and a leg. All right. It cost an arm and a leg back in the day, but you know what it didn't cost? It didn't cost another like foot to go get a new one when that one broke, because you could just have some guy show up and fix it.
Yeah.
Or you could fix it yourself. And we are going to return to that time. Like it is becoming, I am in the upper class. I buy old clothes to wear because they're nice and they're high quality. And I bought some pants the other day that don't fit. And my immediate thought was not to return them, but instead to go find someone to hem them, to fix them so that they did fit. And that thought is going to enter into the heads of people more and more and more as time goes on over the next 10 years. So doing something like being a tailor is going to be possible again. So, and that's not a specific prediction. I'm not saying learn how to be a tailor, but I'm saying that like
something though that repairs stuff.
Yeah. Here's the thrust. Here's the main thrust. Integrity is going to return to the system, whether by force or by people managing it back into the system. Integrity's coming back.
Becoming tired of just the consumerism and throwing away truckloads of stuff every year.
Yeah. And the expediency is going to go away. Integrity, long-term thinking, all this stuff is going to come back into the system. When it does, if you are not a person who's disciplined yourself into being high integrity, into being a long-term thinker, everyone's going to identify that and kick you out of the system. You're not going to be able to play the game. All right? So you need to start now. Put the phone down. Stop gambling. Stop drinking. You cannot just replace one thing with nothing. You can't just stop gambling. You can't stop drinking too much. You can't stop playing too many video games. That's not possible. It has to be replaced with something. So find another hobby. I'm looking into hunting recently. That's what I've started thinking I might do to try to cut back on my free time in the weekends. So I'm not so tempted to dabble too much in things that I shouldn't be dabbling in. Well, not things I shouldn't be dabbling in, but things I shouldn't be dabbling in too much. But you need to replace it with something. My assertion, here's what I would say. Go get a job you're afraid to have. That's my number one thing. Go get a job that scares you because you're afraid you can't do it and you'll get fired. Go do that. All right? I guarantee you, in a month, you'll go, wow, I haven't thought about my fantasy football lineup.
Mm-hmm. Because you're too busy occupying yourself with learning your new trade, whatever it is.
Yeah. You're going to be way too busy doing this thing.
Building skills.
Yeah.
And stretching yourself and being uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. So go And listen, I understand that it's not that easy anymore. You can't just go up with a firm handshake and, I don't know what's going on here. I'd just like to learn, and they're going to hire you. All right. That's
I don't know. That's not necessarily true. My
yes,
younger brother was basically offered a plumbing internship by a plumber who came to their house.
Oh, okay.
The plumber was like, yeah. He's like, I have a hard time finding people.
Right. Well, there you go.
So, if you want to go learn a trade, go walk up to some truck or call the company, ask to talk to the boss, and be like, I'd like to learn how to be an electrician or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've talked about this before in really early episodes. We talked about skill building. Maybe some of the first episodes we recorded together. So back in like the late teen episodes to the early 20s, before we started labeling them and before there was any kind of description on the episodes. You might have to dig through.
Yeah.
But we talked about using this time, this economic crisis time, as a time to build skills so that when we come out of it, then you will be, like Ethan was saying, you will be set up to have a big payoff. You will have the skills necessary, and people will start paying for that again.
Right.
And you'll do well. You'll be successful.
Yeah, and one thing that's really important this should be very encouraging to you if you hear that and you feel dissuaded. We are in a time where there is very little effort being put into doing anything seriously. Because like I said, everybody's focused on stealing. So stealing or gaming the system in some way, in some low effort way. So a little bit of effort will put you in the 1% of whatever it is you're trying to do. While we were in Colorado, I was having I haven't talked to you about this, but I was having a lot of doubt. A lot of like, dude, can we do this? Like, is this possible?
Oh, with hyper premium?
Yeah. Like, is this, am I a fool? Am I wasting Jason's time? Am I like, I don't know if am I cut out for this? Whatever. And then we got on the plane to come home, and Emily tried to watch the new Wizard of Oz movie.
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's bad. And she turned it on, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "I just we're on a plane. I don't have anything else to do. Just leave me alone. I'm just gonna watch it." And she was like, I know it's gonna be bad, but it's just I have something to do. And I was like, "All right, fine, whatever." So I went back to what I was doing. I don't remember I was probably watching some equally retarded guy movie. She looked at me maybe 15 minutes later and said, "I turned it off."
Yeah.
She's like, it's so bad I couldn't watch it for even a second. And it just clicked in my head. And I just felt amazing. And I like almost teared up. And I was like, Jason and I don't have to make things good. We just have to make something better than that. Because that's it. That's the standard right now. That movie has like a $50 million, like that's Hollywood. Like that is the best they can do. The best that the experts can put out right now is the new Wizard of Oz movie that my wife couldn't even watch for 15 minutes. And so Jason and I are obviously going to focus on making something good. But
the company name is Hyper Premium.
Right, it's Hyper
We are
Premium, yeah.
aiming for the stars.
Yes.
Andy Wilson on Stories for Soul Food recently, and if you don't listen to Stories for Soul Food, you should. Go and check that podcast out. It'll give you a new respect for storytelling and the narrative of your own life.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic podcast. He talked about how mediocrity is the standard right now, and everyone's just trying to pump out crap, hoping something will stick. They're throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks and trying to make some money because it's easy to pump out a bunch of crap. So thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a caterpillar crawling on me.
Jason
one of
had
the fuzzy ones.
He had a friend.
Yeah, not a friend. One of those awful silk ones that decimate trees around here.
Yes.
So he said mediocrity is the goal. So he said it's actually a far smaller market for you to be successful in doing something excellent.
Yeah.
He says it's far easier to be distinguished as someone who is pursuing excellence because there are so few people actually pursuing that.
Yeah.
So if you're pumping out mediocrity, yeah, you might get lucky, but it's more like gambling in the sense that you're putting out the same crap that everyone else is. Whereas if you just tried to make something really good and poured yourself into it, you're competing with almost nobody.
Right. Yeah.
And people are hungry,
desperate,
thirsty for it.
Yeah, and think about it like this. There's
and that's where we come in.
That's where we come in. Go online right now and look up any of the like construct that was so upsetting. Why would you do something like that? That was insane. Jason just
same reason you say Jew all the time.
Jason just bit a nicotine lozenge in half. That was absurd. Golly, that made me upset.
I had no idea it would actually be that kind of reaction. We're at an hour 20. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Okay, listen. Last thing. Go online. You want to be a tradesman? Go online. Look up home inspector guy. Okay, go just look up home inspector Instagram. Literally look that up. All right, you'll find it. There is a menagerie of home inspectors right now that are getting popular on like YouTube and Instagram because they're going to new construction homes and showing the low quality of the construction, how bad it is, how it's like dangerous. And they're selling these homes for like $450,000. Now watch that. And the thought you should have in your head is, I can do better than that.
Yeah.
I can nail boards together better than that. That's done.
I have repeatedly thought I could go and run a McDonald's in 3 months if I wanted to.
Yes. Yeah. So
how hard would it be to walk in among the slack-jawed, dope-eyed people that you meet at your typical, Chick-fil-A notwithstanding.
Yeah.
Typical fast food and be like, I'm going to run this place in no time.
Yeah.
The problem is that then you would also be running the slack-jawed.
Yeah. Well, you can turn. Here's another thing, right? Last thing. What is the book called? Don't remember what the book is called, but it's the memoirs of the guy who ran the retreat of the White Army during the Russian Civil War with the Bolsheviks. So the White Army, the loyalist army, lost that war due to incompetent generals.
Okay.
A guy who was very competent took over while they were retreating, and he saved millions of people's lives by doing it orderly and fighting the right fights at the right time, and getting people out and evacuating villages and all this. But he did it very well.
Wow.
Okay. He was running one of the battalions. I don't know, whatever. He had a lot of men under his command at first. One of their first battles, they were outnumbered like 3-1. But it was the Red Army that was full of just like prisoners with rifles. Like that's who the army was. And
that's who they were fighting
against. That's who they were fighting, right.
Okay.
Because the Bolsheviks emptied the prisons. It was one of the first things they did. And when they gained power. So he fights them, beats them, okay, takes the entire army captive because they just gave up.
Yeah,
at a certain point.
They're not motivated.
Yeah, they just gave up.
Not disciplined soldiers.
Yeah. So he takes the entire army that he just captured, builds a stage, brings up all the officers from that army onto the stage and says, you've been deceived. These men have lied to you. They are evil. You are now part of the White Army. Shoots all the officers in front of them and conscripts that entire army into his army. And he said that battalion became one of the bravest, most well-oiled, best battalions he has ever been in command of. Like the most respect, some of the best men he's ever commanded were these like prisoners that were just like there because they were told to be there, like slack-jawed, doughy-eyed retards. And so it's like, again.
So you could be that general.
You could walk
into your McDonald's.
Yeah.
Apply
for the general management position. Put your foot down.
Shoot the manager.
Yeah, shoot the manager in front of everyone.
Yeah. You've been deceived.
Yeah.
We're now going to run this like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Yeah. So
don't actually shoot the McDonald's manager. That's an analogy.
Yeah. So right now you don't just please take away from this. Feel motivated. Feel an intense sense of hope. You can throw aside the phone, throw aside the gambling app, throw aside the alcohol, throw aside the weed. Step up and put a little bit of effort. 50 years ago, you would have had to put an insane amount of effort into starting your own business or winning or being the best at your trade or whatever. Now you can be the best with only a small amount of effort. So just get in there, do your best at what you can to be honest, to build discipline, to build integrity, to build a skill set that's valuable to people. And I promise you, in 5 years, by the time you're 35, which is when it matters, when it's time, That's when you want to be equipped. And I say that not being 35, but Jason is ancient, so he could probably
I'm past 35.
Yeah. That's when it's time. All right. That's when it's time. Like, that's good. 35 is a good time to stand there and say, I've got one or two like skill sets that I can make money with. Or I've started a company and we're starting to move a little bit. So that's it. Just please replace despair with hope. Replace laziness, not necessarily laziness, because I know it's a response to hopelessness. So just replace your hopelessness with hope. Replace the hours you spend on your phone with doing a job you know you want to do, but you're scared to do. Just do it, man. Just do it. You will feel in a year. I just got fired. I got fired from my job. I talked about that. I got fired. I don't regret that at all because I didn't quit and I got fired for
silly reasons.
For silly reasons.
Not because you were...
Right. Not because I fell short, but it was political, whatever. It doesn't matter. But you're going to, like we've said before, you're going to die. All right. You're going to get fired. You're going to look like a fool. The guy who fired me is definitely walking around the company telling people, Ethan did this, Ethan did that, whatever. There's nothing. It's just, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All right. Don't give up. Keep pushing. Keep it going, man.
Charge the hill.
Charge the hill.
All right, guys. We will say we love you. We appreciate you listening. Please go to church where all hope is actually found in the Bible.
Yes.
If you don't have a woman, find a good one, marry her, and have some babies.
Bye.